How to tell if silk is real or fake. When you go shopping, you want to buy the real thing, and that is especially true for silk if you want to buy it for somebody else as a gift. I can tell because I once bought a beautiful silk scarf for a friend, and when I came back from Thailand and gave it to him, he was very happy until he checked it a bit more closely, had a bit of a a bit of a more close look, and then he told me, well, that's fake silk. And needless to say, I was a bit embarrassed, so I asked my friend how he could tell, and he introduced me to the silk burn test. I also did a bit of research later on and found other methods of testing the authenticity of silk, and I want to share those with you here. But before I talk about the test, let's be clear about why it matters. While in the beginning real silk and fake silk are very difficult to recognize from each other, with the age it shows, because real silk gets more beautiful while fake silk just gets old and kind of fades and it loses its beauty. And today there's a lot of fake or artificial silk on the market, and it's really difficult to tell the difference unless you have lots of experience, but there are some silk checks you can do that are good indicators. First check, the most easy one but also the most difficult one, is the kinesthetic test for silk, which means you just touch it. What you do is, when you touch it and you have it in your hands and you kind of squeeze it, and you have several layers of it in between your hands, it should make a sound kind of like when you're stepping on fresh snow, that kind of crunching sound it makes. This is the sound that real silk makes. And another kinesthetic test is to take a pile of silk and rub it intensely with your palm. And what happens is that when it's real silk, it gets a little bit warm, and with fake silk it remains cool. But this test is really difficult and it's easy to make a mistake, because when you rub, also your hand naturally warms up, so be a bit cautious with this test. Another test, more reliable but also more of an effort, is to burn the silk. Now, you don't want to burn, a whole silk scarf. What you want to do is you just take one thread and cut it off and burn it with a lighter. And it's important that you use a lighter, because if you use a match, then the smell of the match, will disturb your senses, and it's important that you smell how the smoke actually smells. So use a lighter, don't use a match, and light up this one single thread of silk. And if the smoke smells like burnt hair, then it's real silk. And if you don't know what burnt hair smells like, then just pull a hair off your head and burn it and smell it, and then you know. If it smells like burning paper, it's fake silk, it's not the real thing. And then after it is burnt, the next thing you do is you observe the ashes. And if it's real silk, it will be black and kind of crispy. And if it's fake silk, it will really be kind of like chalk, and very soft. And so that's a pretty good indicator. One thing I can really recommend you, if you've never done this, is to calibrate you one time with real silk. And the way you do that is you go to a reputable shop where you can be 100% sure that it's real silk. Go to a expensive shopping mall, go to a high-end fashion shop or something, and get one piece of real silk. And it can be something that has a hole, that is torn or so you discount it. It doesn't matter. What you want to do is you just care about the real silk material. If you're in Bangkok, obviously, Jim Thompson is a good choice. They have real silk and it's the real thing. Emporium also, they have some good shops in there that have real silk, but Jim Thompson, I guess, is the most easy way. So when you have that piece of real silk, just use that, touch it, feel it, rub it, take a thread and burn it, smell how it smells when it burns, observe the ashes, and then the real ashes. And then also what you can do, if you want to take it one step further, is you go to one of these tourist stalls where they are selling silk, quote unquote, for tourists for like 100 baht, and then you just buy this one, 100 baht is like $3, and you just buy this one. Then you can compare actually what the fake silk and what the real silk is like, and then that's really when you start to develop an eye and a touch for it. And the final test, okay, is the most effort. But if you're really serious about it, you go down that road. What you do is you take copper sulfate, 16 gram, and you put it in 150 milliliter of water, and it has to be room temperature, not too cold, not too hot. What you do then is you add 8 to 10 grams of glycerine and caustic soda, and you do that, you just mix it until it's clear. And now when you have a clear solution, what you do is you put a small sample of the silk inside that solution, and if the silk dissolves, then you know it was real silk. Now if it remains, then you know that's fake silk. Of course the other way around would be nice, because if it's real silk, it dissolves and you don't have it anymore. If it's fake silk, then you still have it, but you don't mind anymore. It doesn't matter anymore because it has no value. But if you do it with a small sample, with a small thread, then it won't hurt if it dissolves. And so now you know how to tell if silk is real or not. If you have a piece of silk that stood all these tests, you can be really sure that it's real, and you can buy more from that merchant. Just be aware, some merchants, they're really sneaky, like they will give you one piece of real silk, and then when you come back to make like a wholesale order, they will put in some fake silk in there. But so you always have to use your senses and check and double check. But in general, especially in Thailand so far, the vendors are in generally very honest people. But of course, the more touristy the place, the more likely you will end up with somebody who will try to play some kind of trick with you, because tourists just kind of attract hucksters and scam artists of all sorts. So yeah, if you have a real piece of silk, congratulations, it's beautiful. I have plenty and I love them and I use them and get joy out of them every time I use them. And I hope you found this useful. And if you have questions or comments, just send me an email at info@inbangkok.org, and that is .org. It's not .com, it's inbangkok.org. And I would be glad to hear from you. And if you know somebody who might find this information useful, just pass them on to silkstores.inbangkok.org. silkstores.inbangkok.org. And thanks for listening.